Hello and welcome to FPL Weekly. How's it going, Chezzy?
Yeah, sensational.
Superb. Okay, so what we've got this week, I think let's get straight into it. We've just got a little episode on the exciting news that the fixtures have been released, which is kind of like a semi-start of the season. I mean, we haven't got prices yet, but it kind of feels like unofficially the start of the FPL season where you can kind of start making drafts of players who basically you think are going to be good in the first few weeks. All of the good managers are very fixture related. So, we'll talk about it in loads more detail in a minute. But Newcastle, towards the end of last season, were a great team to have because they had a double where no one else did, just Newcastle and Brighton. But this season, they're 20th on the list of fixture difficulty in the first six games. So, a Trippier would be someone that was going to be in loads of people's teams, and now he's probably going to be less owned. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, fixture releases isn't exclusive for FPL. It takes in a lot of, I always look forward to seeing who, my team has got for Boxing Day, see who my team has got for the last game of the season, whether it's at home, is it away, so it is good from that point of view. But however, FPL has well and truly ruined that. So I think the plan for this was we were just going to focus on the first six games. I might mention at the end a little bit of some information, but yeah, just focusing on the first six games of people, of players and teams of which we would more than likely going to target. Um, all price dependent, but we know more information now.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. So, I mean, we're expecting the game to go live in a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. What usually happens is they drip feed some players. So before the official release, they drip feed a few key players. They probably put Haaland out early, I would have thought, just get people talking.
Haaland will be number one. Haaland will be
Yeah,
number
I
one.
think they'll get him
They'll
out,
put him
don't
out
they?
first.
Just to stir a bit of interest. Yeah, I think for me, 13.5 for 14, but we won't go into that. Obviously, we've done our pod on the predictions, but yeah, all right, let's get into it. So let's have a look. So I'm going to try and share my screen here. If I get this up, I must stress this is not my work. This is this is someone. Well, I'm pretty dedicated, but not as dedicated as this guy at FPL Mate. He's very good, very detailed. He's on YouTube. Check him out. His name's Dan, and he spends a lot of time with this stuff. And yeah, it's very detailed. I think it's I had a little look around. I wanted to for you listeners and viewers to kind of see that obviously while we're talking about it. Otherwise, it means nothing. And I had a look around, and I just thought this was the best. It's the best one I saw. It's the clearest one I saw. And just quickly, what this looks like is he's given his 1 to 20 of fixture difficulties in the first six games. As you can see from the key on the right, green is easy, grey is medium, red is hard, and dark red is really hard. The only really hard is City away. He's called Arsenal away at just hard. And yeah, he orders, in his opinion.
Yeah, I think
games.
that's a really important thing, though. Like, so if
Yeah,
you look at Luton, for
yeah,
example, this is a really easy one. I think a really clear example. So the first game of the season, Brighton Hove Albion, and it's lowercase, so it's away from home.
yeah,
Now, me personally, for Luton, that is a red fixture.
yeah. It's a tough game, very tough.
The ne-
Yeah, I
the
would agree. That probably is a hard. Yeah,
third game along, Chelsea away from home is a it's it's a red fixture. Like
probably. Yeah,
Chelsea will be better.
with better next year. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
Fulham away. I am in no. Luton will not be going into that game as favourites. So
yeah,
therefore, I don't get how it's green. So
yeah. It's interesting. I think by the looks of it, he's done hard. The red is just top four sides. Yeah, the teams in the top four, um, other than Newcastle at home, are hard.
yeah, but
Loads are medium, and then quite a few come under easy. So
yeah,
take it with a pinch of salt, but it just gives you. to be honest with you, I don't look too much actually at the colours. I just look at the games, and I look at obviously whether they're home or away. So, like Chen said,
but
lowercase away, but it does give a bit of an indication.
the colours, you skirt down towards the bottom, and there's, I think it's basically looking at which team here has got a lot of teams who finished in either the top four or top half of the table. And and then you can use your own subjectivity as to whether you think that they're run. So, because for me, Luton he's classed them as having a fourth best fixture run. I think I think that is a very hard fixture run. But however, I don't see when Luton's fixture run will be good. Like, at what point will their fixtures be good?
Yeah, I think it's because of Luton, though. I think if Man City had that, you'd still be like, "Oh, that's."
I'd be all over it. I'd be all over it. But
I agree that Brighton and Chelsea are both tough games. But then Burnley at home, West Ham at home, Wolves at home are all pretty good.
Yeah, the home fixtures are fabulous.
The thing is, well, we're talking about Luton, without being disrespectful whatsoever, we're probably not going to have a Luton player in, and if we do, it will just be a complete kind of blank enabler. So we sometimes put like a 4.5 million midfielder in there just to make sure we can afford the premiums. So we might have that, but other than that, I think it's unlikely we're going to have a Luton player in. Just how it is, right? Unless we know, like, do you remember John Lundstrom at Sheffield United? I think he was a bit of a gem. He was 4 million defender, played in midfield, and he was a bit of a gem. So unless you get like a standout like that, it's unlikely. I'd be surprised if I start the season with a Luton player. I'm open to anything, but we won't focus too much on that. I want to start really actually on the toughies. Now, the only real two teams I want to mention that have got tough runs are Fulham and Newcastle. Focusing more on Newcastle, like I said, great side, going places, came fourth last year. Ordinarily, we'd be looking at Newcastle players like we did at the end of last season, Botman, Trippier, Wilson. I would be surprised if I had any Newcastle players with that fixture run. Villa at home is pretty tough. City away is brutal. Liverpool at home is brutal. Brighton away is tough. Brentford at home is pretty tough, depending on what Brentford turn up next year. I think it would only be Trippier that I would have, possibly.
But there's no harm in waiting.
No,
there's no harm in waiting for them.
Of course.
And if anything,
I think that's what we'll say the whole episode here is we're not concrete anything here. If Trips comes out of 5.5, we probably will have him, but we don't expect him to come out at that price.
Yeah.
So it does depend a lot on price.
Yeah, but I think it's so Trips comes out at 6, which we're all kind of expecting. Then it's fine to not go with him, and then wait until that Sheffield United game and go with him.
Wait till game week 6, pre-plan. That's one of the biggest tips we're going to say in a lot of these episodes. Is the best managers pre-plan. We look 4, 5, 6, sometimes 7 game weeks ahead at times. So pre-planning is crucial, and not like concreting plans, but having a rough idea of what your plans are going forward. So I think Newcastle's the bigger void of players that you'd be interested in. And the other one, just really quickly, Fulham. We both had a quick chat a few weeks ago, didn't we, about Mitro and how we think he's going to continue his form, and his goals to minutes ratio is superb, and he's kind of the real focal point of that team. But I think with that tough fixture run, I think he's in a void to start the season.
Yeah, I just think there's probably going to be better £7 to £8 million strikers, or there's going to be, you can go with Kane and Haaland and a shed
Ferguson,
of a, Ferguson. Yeah. Wow, I mean those three.
He could be an incredible enabler, Ferguson, with that fixture run. But we'll come on to that. So I think. But look, you might love Mitro like us and say we really want to get him in, but not yet. You might look at fixture 5, because I'd say the first 4, like Everton away we'll see, but obviously they've got Arsenal and Man City away back to back, which is brutal. But then the fixtures turn a little bit from there. Luton at home, so you might want to have a player that's got an easy first 4 games, and then swap in for Mitro in game week 5. So that's something you could definitely do. But other than that, all the other teams that have got tough games, I don't think we're overly interested in from an FPL point of view.
Wolves,
maybe Villa,
West Ham,
Wolves.
Burnley, like the.
Forest.
No,
We're not
no.
disrespecting the clubs. We're just saying from an FPL point of view of teams we're going to focus on at the start of the season, the first 6 games, they're not going to be them. I think we should move on to the middle.
Just a quick one though. Like last season, I know we've ended up like if you looked at my top players that I had, like my teams that I had the most amount of players from, Brighton would have been up there. Like I had 3 Brighton for a lot of the season, and that is if you would have said to me at the start of the season, would you have
that's true.
three Brighton, then you would have laughed at me. So,
and it was partly because we overperformed, but mostly because of the amount of rearranged fixtures. Like, it was just frightening.
Yeah,
so we just had to. We had 2 more fixtures than everyone else. So,
so yeah.
But yeah, it's always good. Like you say, like what you make is always keep an open mind for sure. Focusing on the middle, I think there's 3 kind of clubs I want to focus there, and 4 clubs I want to focus on in the middle. Spurs, United, Liverpool, and Villa all have ordinary games. Not terrible, not great, average, very average. I say of the 4, I agree with Dan. Villa have probably got the toughest. They've got Newcastle away, Liverpool away, and Chelsea away in their first 6.
The player for me, obviously, me being a Liverpool fan, I think that second game, Bournemouth at home, is a great opportunity to captain. He already looks like Salah could be the best captain option for that week because possibly. Man City have got Newcastle.
At home now.
Arsenal have got Crystal Palace away. Tottenham have got Man United at home, and obviously Man United have got Tottenham away.
I agree. I don't hate it. I just think 85% will still just go Haaland because people just get a bit safe, and he's just a bit more, I say, reliable. I don't want to be harsh to Salah, I
suppose after that first game, Man City have got Burnley away. He's probably already scored 2, so therefore you're staring down the barrel of that. But
and do we need to take risks game week 2? Maybe not. But I know what you're saying. Bournemouth at the home is obviously an incredible fixture. You won 9-0 last year, so it's obviously an incredible fixture. But we'll see. Look, Haaland might pick up a knock. He might be flat. Salah could be unreal at Stamford Bridge, and then everyone's like, "Oh." So you're right. It's an interesting fixture. The other player, obviously, to mention really from Liverpool was Trent. There's rumours he may not come in as a defender. He may come in as a midfielder, but we're expecting him to come in as a defender. I mean, I think in our predictions, I had a look through earlier. You went 7 million, I went 8 million. I'd say 8 million or less is in my team.
I want us to discuss Trent more.
You love him. You and Trent is like me and Brighton.
I just think he's Liverpool's best footballer, and he's just a great player. He's just one of the best footballers in the league. And
he's brilliant. He ran the show for England as well.
I'm not going to say I watched the England game because I definitely didn't watch the England game because I was at the cricket. But I equally, I watched some of the highlights, and he sets up the first goal and he scores the second goal.
Yeah,
or was it the third?
And that roof. We talk about roof a lot, but the roof of Trent is so high. Like what he's capable of.
How much would he cost to replace for Liverpool to replace him as a midfielder?
Oh yeah, like
100 million.
Yeah, I'd say that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it does look like that move's permanent now in terms of you're playing in midfield. You're not going to go back to playing in defence now, I don't think. So, look, if you can get Trent as a defender for 7.5 million, the fixtures aren't awful. I think he's going to be so highly owned.
Yeah.
But yeah, Villa have got fairly tough games. I mean, yes, Watkins is very good. I think there's better options with that start.
Yeah. I never went Watkins last year, and possibly you can call me an idiot for not doing that, but he was overperforming his XG massively, and that was the reason why we didn't go with him. But I think that is a factor. Like I think I think it's smelly. Personally, I think he's smelly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. You always have these feelings about players, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
But
Like,
part of FPL, like we'll talk about a lot, is gut feeling as well. You can talk about
mm,
the stats all day long, but you've still got to play your own game at the end of the day.
mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah, interesting. Other than that, Villa, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what price kind of Moreno is and people like that.
Yeah.
Other than that, with that start, unlikely. United, in general, is a team that you'll have players from, but again, it's not a great start. In the first six, Tottenham away, Arsenal away, Brighton at home. It's okay. I'd say it's
I
medium.
don't mind. I think another thing as well to mention is some of these teams like Man United with a semi fixture. I think it
Yeah.
just basically rules out having three of them. So I think you
Yes.
can probably go with definitely one,
Yeah.
possibly two. I
Maybe
wouldn't
short.
I I
Maybe short,
wouldn't
depending on price.
Yeah, I just wouldn't advise going with three. And the main
Yeah, I
reason
agree.
why is if you're going to bench someone, like Rashford is pretty much fixture proof. Like he's
Yeah.
pretty fixture proof, whereas Shaw potentially isn't. So if you were going to
Yeah.
go into the season with two of them, and then in your fourth game you've got Arsenal away, then you're staring down the barrel of of having two people who are, and then you might end up more than likely, you'll probably have three Arsenal, depending on
Yeah.
price. So then
Yeah.
there's five people in your team who are, potentially playing against each other, which doesn't always account for, good, you know,
Yeah.
good
You don't
point
often
scoring.
want players that playing in opposite matches, obviously. Yeah. No, good point. Really quickly, Rashford last season started off at 6.5. Bruno started, what, 10?
Hmm
10 and a half? If Rashford went up to 9.5 and Bruno went down to 9.5, would you still favour Rashford at the same price?
It depends if Man United buy a striker.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
If Man United don't buy a striker, that
Yeah,
means Rashford's playing up front, which I
yeah,
hate. Whereas
yeah.
if Man United buy Harry Kane,
Kane, yeah,
then I actually think that Rashford's price is. I think he's a must. I think he's a
yeah, yeah,
must.
yeah.
I think
Yeah, I
I,
understand that.
I honestly feel that
He could get hiked, by the way. He could
Man
go. He
United.
could. He could go 9 million, by the way.
Yeah. And like it would be fair for him to do that. Like,
Yeah,
but
because they need to protect players that are in everyone's team, and he was in everyone's team. So it'd be nice for them to put it up to. I mean, you'd still consider him a 9.5, wouldn't you? So
mhm, mhm.
like, don't put him in at 8 because just everyone will have him, and I don't want too many players like that. But okay, yeah, really quickly, Spurs. I mean, it just depends on Kane, doesn't it? The other interesting one, Son. Um, depends a bit on Kane, obviously. If Son comes in at 9 million, if he's the focal point and he's on penalties, it could be a good option. There's still
I'm
a good
just
player
happy to.
there.
I think I'm just really happy to wait for Son. Like
Yeah, same,
I'm
same.
happy
I
to
agree.
let them play Brentford away. I'm
Brentford,
happy
Man
to let them,
United. Yeah,
and then if he's
yeah,
played well in those two games,
yeah, I
then
agree with you.
Bournemouth away, Burnley
Yeah,
away, Sheffield United. That is three brilliant games.
yeah, I agree with you.
However, I honestly feel that if Harry Kane doesn't get his move and he's playing, I can't see me going without him
Yeah,
because
that's fair.
I think those fixtures are really good.
He's just too good. Yeah, and he's as good away from home as he is at home. The interesting point you make about Son is, yeah, I think you're right. I think let's wait and see, and can always bring him in because there's always a player in the first two game weeks that you have that doesn't perform, and you start to think, should
Pedro
I have picked
Neto.
them? Yeah, exactly. Like who everyone had at the start of last season. But there'll always be someone that you're like, oh, or gets injured or whatever that you think, not sure about him. So yeah, I agree with you with Son. Depends on his price. If he's 8.5, I may just shove him straight in and take a chance. But if he's 9.5, 10, then it's probably a wait and see. Okay, let's go up to the top. I think we can. I would say I'd be looking at these top six really. Everton, look, maybe, but who'd you go with?
I think it's just like your Patterson.
Yeah,
Coleman is that injury looked really bad.
yeah,
So therefore, Patterson's probably going to be starting. and you know,
It was
Fulham,
4 million last year,
yeah,
and he may
but
not go up because he
no,
didn't
no,
play a lot. So
he didn't play. So 4
yeah,
million,
could
four
be an
million with
enabler.
Fulham at home, Aston Villa away, Wolves at home, Sheffield United. I think that that's decent. And then the
Yeah,
other person that is potential is, once you start knocking on these top six, that's where I really look at defenders and keepers. So,
yeah,
in the really simple terms, this is how my mind thinks is fixtures. I'm thinking about defenders and goalkeepers, and form. I'm thinking about attackers. So
yeah.
it kind of debunks my theory around Ollie Watkins because his form was really good. So I should have really got him in, but however, that's so really these top six is making up my defenders. That's the way I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Taking out
No, I
Luton
agree.
because I don't actually think that Luton should be in there.
Yeah, no, I understand. I completely agree with you. And it's not a disrespect to Luton whatsoever. It's just Luton's definitely a wait and see. In terms of we don't know much about them. We don't know kind of who's their good players, who there isn't. But again, it's price wise. Who's going to be nailed in their defence? Who do they sign?
The other team that I think you can look at, looking at those fixtures, that you can wait and see on is Chelsea.
Yeah, 100%.
Liverpool at home, and then
Yeah,
West Ham away. That does not scream clean sheet out to me. It really, really, really doesn't. So
yeah,
therefore, you can wait and see, and then you could go into game week 3 making 2 changes, and that could be Reece James and Ben Chilwell. They could both come in for Luton at home, Forest at home, Bournemouth
yeah.
away,
Look at those
Villa
fixtures.
at
Yeah.
Villa at home. That
I
is
think you're right
ridiculous.
because Chelsea's an annoying one because you look at those fixtures and you think, yes, for Liverpool. Going after that, you're like, oh, I really want Chelsea players. But Chelsea, you're right, are a team where you go, who do I want? You know,
You
Chilwell
just
might
don't
be
know.
expensive. Reece James is injury prone. You have no idea who's going to play centre back out of about 6 options. You don't even know who the keeper's going to be. You get to midfield. I mean, who do you want from midfield? You've got some holding midfielders. Their attacking midfielders rotate all the time. And then which striker are they going to play? Are they going to have faith in this in Kunku, or you just don't know. Fofana.
Turan.
Yeah, there's so many, mate. It's frightening. Are they going to have faith in Sterling? Are they going to even keep him? Is Mudryk gonna take off?
Yeah.
So I think Chelsea's a wait and see. I think they will have a better season. Obviously, it's hard to have worse, and I think there'll be a couple of players that we'll definitely be keeping our eye on for Chelsea.
And the thing is, as well, is price wise for Chelsea, they always have an inflated price because they play for Chelsea. So, however, if they are a bench player last year, who we get rumours that Pochettino loves, so say we get rumours that they're going to play wing backs.
Yeah.
Then Chilwell's so far in
Yeah.
that team.
And James, if they can keep him fit. James, if he's fit, it's scary, the positions he gets in.
Yeah, it's
They're
just a
both
lock,
great
isn't it?
options.
But
they're both great options.
We just don't know. So Chelsea are a real watch there. So
Definitely.
I think the next teams to discuss, that I want to discuss, is Arsenal, because I feel like Arsenal may be the team that I target, that I'm happy to move off towards Chelsea, mainly because I really love that first fixture. Nottingham Forest at home is
their first three are good.
Yeah, that first one.
That first one is great. Yeah.
That first fixture is
hard to avoid. Yeah, it's hard to not look at that. Yeah.
I think I can't see myself going in without Odegaard and Martinelli.
Yeah, if they're all 8.5, would you have a preference?
Martinelli.
I'm obviously talking for the people that know Odegaard, Martinelli. For the people that don't know, I'm talking about Odegaard, Martinelli, and Saka. You think probably Martinelli?
Yeah. I just think he's so explosive.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I really, really, really love, that I think is really important, I'm really going into this season with making, when I do a transfer or I do like a wild card team, which this is ultimately a wild card team, I'm going into it picking players who I know are going to play. I got my fingers burnt. I got my fingers burnt with players last year who didn't play, and I had to play them a wild card early.
Yeah. Well, that would be a good tick for Odegaard, because out of those three, I'd say he's probably the most nailed. And I put Saka second, and I put Martinelli third.
Yeah,
I think Martinelli's the most explosive, but I would say Odegaard and Saka are more nailed. So again, it's just a balance, isn't it? It's a balance. Arsenal and the other Arsenal assets. I mean, defenders will just kind of wait and see. It does depend a bit on price.
I'm going to be going in with 3 Arsenal.
Same.
I feel like I'm going to be going 1 defender and either 2 midfielders or Jesus.
Yeah, that's the one I was quickly going to mention. Jesus is an interesting one because everyone had him last season at the start. Good price in loads of teams. I'm not saying it was bad. He started off the season pretty good, but he had a fairly quiet season because of his injury. I think some people have kind of given up on him, but I think that's unfair.
I think it protects his price, which is great for us, because the only downside for him is that in that position, I'm more than likely going to have Haaland, and I'm more than likely going to have Kane. Therefore, I'm kind of running out of money. So
I agree. I understand that. He's not a must unless he comes in at 7 or whatever. Which he probably won't. But he's not a must.
I think he's going to come in at the same price, 8.5.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, good. Brentford, really quickly. Tony's ban. He was obviously the best option there. The one I want to flag is Mbumo. It does depend a little bit on whether he's a midfielder or if he's a striker. Last season he was a striker, but it was the first season he's been a striker. Yeah. So I'm expecting him to be a striker, which would be a bit frustrating, because if he came in as a midfielder, 7 million or less, he's in my team. But I'd go as far to say he's in my team.
There's no problem with doing a 3-4-3 though, is there? Because
there's no problem in having Haaland, Kane, and Mbumo. He'll be a bit of an enabler. I just think without Tony, he's the focal point. He's on penalties. He finished the season really well. He looks exciting. He's probably an improving player. I think he's younger than people realise. So he's the one that excites me in that Brentford team. Defenders, you'd probably be looking at Rico Henry, but I'm not overly interested in defenders. Keep an eye on the keeper, because Raya's very strong rumours to Spurs. So if they don't sign a keeper, keep an eye on that, because you might be able to get a really cheap Brentford keeper. And defensively, they're pretty good. I think that kind of sums up Brentford, really. And then should we move on to the top two?
I think Mbumo will possibly or most probably be in my team.
Yeah.
The only way he isn't is if they sign someone.
And I think, to be honest with you, Ted, I think he'll be a bit of a differential as well. I think if he's a striker at 7, I don't think
he will be for the people that we're competing against.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Like so and what I mean by that is the people who are bothered to listen to. Yeah, I'm not going to say us, because hardly anyone listens to us. But like we're kind of targeting the top 200k of people, and if out of those top 200k, half of them watch content, then realistically they're going to be swayed. Like, and that's another thing, is that you more so than me are incredibly swayed by content creators, and I think you have to admit it.
I didn't used to be until this year. It was the first year I got really swayed.
And I think it's more of for me it's more of a FOMO rather than a swayed.
Yeah, but it's a little bit stats as well. Like when the YouTube creators are telling you that the XG for Darwin is 1.5 or whatever, you stand up and listen, don't you? Whereas if you didn't know that, sometimes ignorance is bliss, right? If I didn't know that, my eye test on Núñez is he's not very good. He missed chances, but when I look at those stats, I go, oh, hang on a minute, stats don't lie. So I know what you mean. I completely know what you mean. I'll try and be a little bit more my own player this year, like I used to be. Take the advice on board, but not go like fully with it. all the time.
Yeah. I think another one was Neto, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah. But then I didn't have him. I didn't have Neto. I didn't have Salah. But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
like you know, like what? When you look back now, what were we doing?
Yeah.
What we got someone in for 5.5 who was always going to be on our bench anyway.
Yeah.
And it was just yeah.
I agree. Okay, the top two teams. So Man City have got the best fixtures, and I would say Brighton are probably the second best.
Right, I just want to highlight something
Arsenal.
now. So we've done the first 6 games, yeah?
Yeah.
The next 6 games, Man City will have the best fixtures. The next 6 games after that, Man City will have the best fixtures because they are completely fixture proof. They can have some lovely runs, which they happen to have, and a lovely run here. However, if you can find me three City players who are going to play 90% of the fixtures, just tell me right in the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because I'm going with I'm going with them for the rest of the season.
I agree. Yeah, and that's the key. Is I think you have to go 3 City. Yes, they're fixture proof. I agree 100%. But with that fixture run, wow. I mean, it's just incredible. The first 6.
We're no longer looking at Edison as being fixture proof now.
Yeah.
He played Ortega in 2 games last year.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot about Pep Roulette, but for those that don't know, it's literally obviously the amount of fixture rotation that goes on in City side is absolutely ridiculous. So trying to nail a player is crazy, and the players that even you think are nailed, like ADB, had loads of rotation last year. Really quickly, the elephant in the room, Haaland. I mean, with that fixture run, he's going to be 90-something% owned.
Yeah, I think it's only Price.
It's only
going to be Price, and and it's only going to be, and the only people who are going to go against him, who are scared of Price, is people who are incredibly clued up on all of this stuff. Because if you talk to any casual watcher, then they're going to go, well, of course I'm going to go with Haaland, because they're just going to do it regardless of Price.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying
but
that
even
I'm not.
So,
I don't think I'm. 15. Are we saying that 15 is the top?
Yeah, that he can't be more than 15. He just can't be.
Well, then he is. If he's 14.5, he is guaranteed in my team. I think only at 15 do I start.
Do you think about it? Yeah.
Do I start?
Mate, I'd have him at 15. Look at that fixture run. I mean, it's scary if you like.
I think it's just captaincy, isn't it?
I'd be staggered if I don't captain him those first 6 games every single time.
Do you think Haaland's ruining the game?
It's a really good question. Partly, it's still a game we love, but I don't think it's ruining the game. I think it's ruining captaincy. It's taking captaincy out of it. Captaincy used to be really fun because everyone used to do different things, whereas it's kind of killing captaincy a little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I kind of hope they go 15. Go 15. Let's see who's got balls. Let's see who really wants him. Let's see who wants to avoid him. Let's see. So I don't want him to go 13.5 and he's 95% owned. He's captained by everyone every week. So, but I think that will probably be the case. Other players, Foden, Grealish. I mean, I love Foden as a player. I absolutely adore him as a player. You just don't know how much he's going to play. But if he's got faith in him next year, he could be one to keep an eye out on. And yeah, like
I just don't think that we can. I think Ruben Diaz is someone I'm really looking at now.
Yeah,
because
he feels like the most nailed. There's no such thing as nailed in C, but he feels like the most nailed.
And I think the next really important thing to look at who's going to get the captain's armband, because it looks like it's going to be Diaz who's going to get it if it's not KDB.
Then he becomes a bit more nailed, yeah.
and then he probably adds to his nailedness.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Like Odegaard's Arsenal captain, and that adds to his nailness. So
yeah. So
yep,
yeah.
Brighton. It's the last one. It's only by coincidence the last one. I won't go crazy. We can both talk about it. I mean, our 4 home games in the first 6 are very good. Luton, look, Newcastle's toughish, but Luton, West Ham, Bournemouth, all at home. Newcastle at home, Wolves away. Yes, United is a tough game. I'm not suggesting it's not. We went there last year and won. So we beat United twice last year. We should have beaten the FA Cup. So we've got a really good run. People to focus on, I would say, Ferguson, depending on price, is could be an unbelievable option. He was 4.5 last year. Even if he comes in at 5.5, I mean,
I think I like.
he's such a good enabler that it can actually do stuff as well.
Haaland,
Kane, Ferguson.
No, Haaland, Ferguson, and Boomer.
Possibly.
And then think about the money. Think about the money you could spend in defensive midfield.
Then you definitely easily afford Salah, easily. Plus Rashford, plus Saka.
Odegaard.
Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, it's obviously as soon as the price comes out, we'll play around with it. But Ferguson is. I'm going to be probably biased, but he's a big talent, and I do really feel like he's number one. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with João Pedro. If he plays him every game, if he plays him wider.
I think he's a left forward, isn't he?
Yeah, I agree. I think they can play together. Welbeck's been great, but I think he's kind of over the hill a little bit. I think he'll be more of a bench player next year. So if Ferguson gets the amount of runs like the games, I think he will. I do feel like he's number one at 5.5 in an improving Brighton side with that fixture run as an enabler. Definitely one to keep an eye on. Midfielders, we talked about the big 3 last year. It's only 2 now because McAllister's gone, really. I mean, you can mention Ciso, but he's a risk. So it's Solly and Matoma all day long. If they're the same price, I would slightly prefer Matoma. But it's close.
Oh, slightly.
I mean, I agree
slightly.
With you in terms of the eye test, yes. But in terms of actual numbers and stats, it's not much in it. If Solly was $500,000 cheaper, then I've got a decision to make. If Solly's 1 million cheaper, it's Solly.
Yeah, I can see that.
Do you know what I mean? Just based on stats. But yeah, it's an interesting one because I will probably have one of those too. Defenders, the 2 to look at. I'm obviously biased on Dunk, but he's the most nailed in that side. If you want to take more of it, it's Purvis, yeah. It depends on his price, unless he gets hyped massively. His attacking stats are frightening.
Just a quick one. Your right back situation.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have one.
Okay, so Veltman can play there. He's like a right back / right centre back. He's signing an extension. He's getting on a bit. He's about 31, but he's a really, really solid player. He's not an amazing FPL option, but he's a top player. If we can keep him fit, people are probably completely forgotten about Tarek Lamptey. He's just an absolute sick note.
Yeah, wow.
Do you know what I mean? We didn't even think about him, did you? I think you had him in your team a couple of years ago. So, I mean, he's just a sick note. He's literally a sick note. He's made of glass.
He could be 4.5.
Remember when he came to Brighton? It was like, oh my God, who the hell is this kid? He's running rings around everyone.
He could be 4.5, yeah.
But again, his ceiling is high. But I agree with you. He probably will be 4.5. Yes, you'd have to check on minutes because even when he was playing, he was only playing 60. But yeah, we have him. And then apparently we're going to sign one. I don't know who, but rumours are going to sign one. Milner can play there, I believe. You can tell me more about that as a Liverpool fan, but I believe Milner can play there.
He can, but I wouldn't want him to.
He's 38, yeah, wherever he is. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think we've got a couple that can play there. We're going to sign one. We need to sign one because we're a bit light there, but not quite as light as people think. If we can keep Tarek Lamptey fit, which is a huge if.
Sorry, I can't believe I forgot about Lamptey.
Everyone has, mate. Everyone's forgotten about him, and that's because he hasn't played, and that's because we can't keep him fit. He's made of glasses like Lallana. The only other player I want to mention, as we talked about pre-pod, is Jason Steele. Yeah. Sanchez is gone. Not officially, but he's going to go. And the rumours are we're going to sign this young Belgian. Can't remember his name. It's a long name. I think he's 18, 19. There's no way. I'd be very surprised if he comes straight in number one. So put it this way, I'd be surprised if Steele's not number one at the start of the season. Deserby loves him. He had a good end of the season. He was 3.9 last year because obviously he was second choice.
Well, he started at 4. He started at 4 and his price went down.
Yeah. So I'm expecting him to come in at 4.5. If he comes in at 5, he's a question mark. If he comes in at 4.5, I'll be surprised if I don't have him.
No chance he'll come in at 5. No chance.
It'd be very surprising if he comes in at 5. If he comes in at 4, he's in everyone's team, like everyone's.
Yeah, it's like Danny Ward was.
Everyone's. Yeah, if he comes in at 4.5, he's probably in my team.
Yeah. My goalkeeper is going to come from Arsenal. I could go Pickford.
I think for me, it's going to be Steele or Edison or Brentford.
The one thing that I haven't done is I haven't looked at. So with goalkeepers, and I've done it in the past where I went for 2 4.5 goalkeepers and then did the whole flip when they've got good home games, and see who's a really good yin and a yang. Mainly because
absolutely.
If you went with Everton and as soon as they play Arsenal, then you've got you know what I mean.
100%. And the good thing is with all the YouTube creators out there, you'll get at least one of them that will come out and tweet and go, "Wow, have you seen the Brighton/Brentford fixture crossover?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you remember we had it midway through last season? There's a couple of tweets come out like, "Oh my God, look at the Raya/Sanchez combo."
Yeah.
So, and what that basically means for those that don't know is obviously when Brighton have got a bad fixture, Brentford might have a good one. We don't want their good fixtures at the same time because you can obviously choose which goalkeeper you want to play. So, I agree with you. We need to research pairings when it comes to keepers.
And I would be very, very, very surprised if I go with Edison, really.
Yeah.
Just because of the amount of save points that he's going to get, it's just going to be nil and void.
He gets 2 or 6, doesn't he? Most of the time. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But for example, there you could go Steele. All of our games are very easy apart from United away. Mm-hmm. Possibly with Kepa, who's got Bournemouth away, or let's say it's Raya at Spurs, Sheffield United at home. Yeah. Let's say it's Villa, got Palace at home. Do you know what I mean? So it's just crisscrossing with Brighton.
Every single person is like it's all price dependent because
100%. Yep.
Raya at 5, I'm not touching, but Raya at 4.5 at Spurs,
absolutely,
I'm all over him. So
absolutely, yeah. Good. I think that's it, mate. Unless you want to add anything else.
No. Next one is
with what we've covered there.
Yeah, the next big thing for us to do on the pod is the price releases, really.
Yeah, so it is really, Well, and I think we'll start to get, like I say, drip fed some prices.
Mm-hmm.
But I think big price release is going to be 2 to 3 weeks. They say early July, so we can't give you a date, but they say early July. So once they release the prices, we'll be going pretty crazy.
I did notice that they have altered the little icon on the phone. So they've altered that. That's something that's changed. And you can still access your records from last year. So they've not. It's not new for the year yet. But so I feel like there are some changes imminent.
I'd love an early release this year. That would just be great, but you just never know. But I just don't. I don't see why. I don't really see why. Like, bring it out next week.
That's only because you're. It's only because you're bored.
I know it's because I'm an FPL pervert. I know, but it is because I'm bored. Yes, but why wait? I don't want to wait. Why? Tell me a reason why I need to wait.
Yeah.
When you sign a player, they can get added to the game.
Yeah, I think it's
I'm
more.
sure the head honchos there all know what price Haaland's going to be next year already.
Yeah, they know that. I think it's more along the basis that they don't want to cock up because I feel like they cocked up really with. They probably would have made some of those Arsenal assets a lot more money if if so Zinchenko, for example, he was previously at City at 5, and he went over there to Arsenal at 5. But ultimately we're nearly there, pal. Hold out.
That's true. I'm being impatient, but the pods help. They help. They help the time pass by. Good. Yeah. Thanks very much for listening, everyone. Watching and listening. Please follow the YouTube page if you follow this page if you can. Watch the videos. Have a look at the Insta page as well. We've put loads of stuff up on there. I'll probably put I think I have done already. Put the fixtures on there, and soon we'll be putting loads of drafts and stuff up there. So yeah, follow along, and we will see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.